Well, going through Aaron's response, which took a while but wasn't as long as I expected. So it's about an hour or so, and the substance is very small. But one of the things he kept going back to is that Streets LA is a good example for other protesters to follow. And again, frankly, the reason is that Streets, at least from what we can see, is doing financially pretty well with the channel. He doesn't need Aaron's help. And that's kind of Aaron's main point, that stop asking him for help because he's not going to help you. So, okay. So let me focus on a very specific controversy with Danny's Impact. Now, he's one of the smaller protesters, right? His channel is much smaller than Streets. He's worked with Streets for a while, but he got himself into a legal wrangle with the church. I'm not really interested in the back and forth of is the church winning or Danny winning. I'm just talking about the basic scope of the controversy because there's some confusion about what the hell happened.
This clown over here saying these horrible false things about 86, and you won't even ask him to stop? What is going on? And he goes, I'm terrified of him. He goes, I can't speak out against him. If I do, he'll destroy me. Once he sets his sights on someone, he never stops. I can't survive that. I said, okay, I'll do it for you. I'll do it for you.
Right. Now, in the video, Aaron says that he was trying to help Danny, right? But the problem was that Danny was not opposing DOA. Now, DOA is a whole other mess. I'm going to focus mainly on Streets and Aaron. But DOA, to put it mildly, is a very controversial protester who's more flamboyant and has become very personal and close with some of the, quote, ex-Scientologists. So he's a little different from the other protests. He has a more personal connection to some of these people. And DOA apparently has some issues with Danny, too. So Danny says that he was just terrified of speaking out against DOA. So Aaron, quote, helped him by forcing him to choose sides. Now, Danny has clarified that basically Aaron was screaming at him. So it wasn't a good, friendly conversation. He was basically put in a no-win position. And that gets us back to Streets LA, who doesn't have to have those choices because he can pay for his own lawyers. He doesn't need to ask for help. He can do it himself. The channel makes enough money. He can pay his own legal bills. Now, Selfless thinks that Aaron is being very cynical and bringing up Streets LA as, quote, a case to vindicate him. And I agree, the way he's using Streets is kind of exploitive. But again, he still has a point. Or what is the issue? Well, I think we have to be blunt about it. Like, who is Streets LA? Well, basically, he's a celebrity. He does do some activist work, but first and foremost, people are watching him because he's a celebrity and he's mocking the Scientologists and mocking and keeping tabs on other people. You might consider him a radical activist with just a new angle and getting the message out, but no, the primary thing is he hangs out with Jessica and Solomon and, again, just annoys various people. Sometimes it's effective, sometimes it's less effective. I think I'm of the school that he's less effective than people think, but again, this is a perspective taste issue. So someone was asking a while ago, because they're very confused about the drama, which is, who is Dark Tony? Well, Dark Tony is basically a critic who has gained not a big following, but a decent following, basically kind of criticizing the various sides in the LA protest movement, because Dark Tony's in California. So before, Dark Tony was kind of respectful of Streets, but more and more he's getting more and more critical because Streets is legally trying to shut Zero Dark Tony down. Now, whether you think it's justified or not justified, the bigger issue is, well, what is happening here? Now, Dark Tony is not really dedicated to Anti-Scientology. He's not a fan of the church, he's not supporting the church, but he doesn't like what these protesters are up to. Now, obviously, Dark Tony is doing his own thing. He's trying to become his own celebrity. So, again, we're just running into this brick wall over and over again that the first priority is becoming a celebrity, gaining a following. That's the main concern. And I agree with Selfless that there's something really problematic about that model. But again, it is here and it is pervasive. And why are people doing it? Well, because celebrities do have a certain brand recognition. They have a certain amount of fame. And yes, they have a certain amount of wealth, right? I mean, why did people even care that Ashton had a charity? Why do people care that P. Diddy helps their charity or has a charity of his own? Because it does, quote, help a certain amount of people and the word gets out. The dilemma is by endorsing, hooking up with these people, being associated with these people, you're also going to be associated with their scandals or their bad side, right? So Ashton had, quote, a good charity for a while, right? Allegedly helping children, but he was making a lot of money from it. I don't think that's what upset people. But then the Danny Masterson case happens, and he's much more complicit in Danny's crimes, and suddenly he has to leave the charity. So did the charity do any good work? I mean, Thorne's reputation is a little iffy. I don't know if it's done enough good work to warrant, quote, helping it after the Danny Masterson crisis. I just don't. I don't know. And on P. Diddy's end, we have him doing a lot of initiatives, quote, helping black youth, people of color, etc., so on and so forth. I think he even did like a breast cancer charity. So he has, quote, helped women. Now we know that this is now just a lot of phoniness, right? Yes, Puffy created a lot of jobs, but then when people took the jobs, to put it mildly, there are valid accusations of abuse. Streets, people are making the case that yes, he's not technically a good person. He has a very big criminal record, but so what? The issue is he effective in fighting Scientology? And if he is, we shouldn't concentrate on his bad side. Let's concentrate on the good he does. But his most current things are going after Zero Dark Tony and even mocking other former protesters who don't agree with him. Now, Streets is doing some good stuff here because he is calling out their toxic behavior, which I think is there. Definitely Zero Dark Tony has been toxic. Some of these former protesters have been toxic. That is true. But the way he's doing it is very problematic. So again, we're just going to go in a circle. Then why are people supporting Streets LA? Because he's very popular. But we can just look at the numbers, and the numbers don't lie. So the protest movement that he drew in quite a large amount of people, right? What was its peak? Maybe 30 or so people? And now it's gone down to maybe actively a dozen people. And people have stated on the record part of the reason they're not doing it any longer, not covering the protests, not helping, is Streets LA. He's been accused of bullying people, and he's done it on camera. He's deliberately on camera, gone after people. So that's where we are. So if you do like Streets LA, him going after Zero Dark Tony makes you want to support him even more. But then when he goes after more innocent people, people don't care, right? He very irresponsibly makes a lot of accusations against a lot of people. No proof, but so what? So it is the logic of the enemy of my enemy is my friend. But if we're going to go with that one, then why not become a Scientologist, right? Doesn't David Miscavige give some money to charity? Don't you like helping children? Don't you like charity? And the answer is, well, no, we can go with a charity with more clean hands. You don't have to help people through, quote, a charity of Scientology. You can just choose another charity. But here with the LA protest movement, as well as with Aaron, people are being locked into these binary choices, right? If you want to, quote, help bring down Scientology, you have to help Aaron, or you have to help Streets LA. You have no other choices. Obviously, that's a bad, logically fallacious argument, but here we go again, where Selfless is saying, Streets LA is a wonderful man. He's helping out his community. Well, so did P. Diddy. I don't think P. Diddy is very popular on Selfless's Christmas list. So I guess we're getting back to where do we draw the line? For me, Streets and Aaron are just too toxic. I really can't actively support them. But when they do good work, yeah, you should support that good work, but not endorse their other projects. But the problem is, a lot of times Aaron and Streets do demand an all or nothing loyalty. So we're just going to go in a circle. And why are we even paying attention? Because they're big celebrities in this scene. Believe me, normal people, everyday people don't know these people, don't care about these people. But the more and more you get into the space of anti-Scientology, it's hard to avoid them, right? They're just like these two big suns. You could ignore the sun, but the sun is still there. So it's just a their problem. So we're just stuck with where we are. That is the focus of Aaron. That is the focus of Streets LA, is building their brands as celebrities. That's their first concern. They're not really primarily concerned with being anti-Scientology activists. So if you want to support them, that's fine, but you're not really supporting anti-Scientology. You're supporting a celebrity who sometimes will do anti-Scientology when it's in their self-interest. And there you go. Well, obviously, you should support them when they're doing anti-Scientology. But if they're not doing anti-Scientology, then you're like, I don't know. It's a more of a question mark whether you should be, quote, loyal to their brands, in my humble opinion.
In the hell would anyone want to take the most generous viewer of SPTV in the protest community and spin tales and yarns to try to make the space so disgusting